Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Backstage with Fred Cooper. Tonight I have a great guest, and I want you to meet him, Mr. Tommy Sands. Tom, good to have you here, believe me.
Hello, Ted. Hi.
Fred. Fred. Oh, Ted was my brother.
Fred. Well, I'll tell you, that's about as close as I get.
Is it? That's fine. We're going into the homes
Fred,
of some of the
me.
people, that's right. We're going into the homes of some of the Leisure World people that can't make it out.
Good.
Okay?
Good. Mm-hmm.
And so, now, when I intro you tonight, I know that there are some people who know you, some people won't know you, but I bet all their kids do. I bet every one of their kids know you.
Well, I hope somebody does.
Oh, hey! Believe me, they will. Tell me how Tommy Sands started.
Well,
How did he
I'll
get
try to
going?
do it in a real short way.
Okay.
I worked in bars from the time I was 5 years old. I used to
Oh,
run
really?
away. My mother and father worked, and I would run away in the afternoon and not come home till 2 or 3 in the morning. And finally, they stopped beating me and decided to come down and a few nights a week and listen to me, and then they started encouraging me.
Oh, good.
So
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana,
Oh, you did?
and then Houston, Texas.
No drawl?
Well, I got a little bit when I let it go. Spent years trying to get rid of it so I could be an actor, you know.
Oh, see, I remember you, well, I was overseas a couple of years when you really popped on the
Were
charts.
you?
Yes. And I was just, I was just ahead of the rock and roll time. Elvis was around, you were around.
Right.
Didn't you do some things for Disney
Yes, I did.
with Annette?
And the one that I did with Annette was Babes in Toyland.
You danced.
Yeah,
That's right. It was.
I can't dance. They spent 6 months on that.
Is
I
that
mean,
right?
rehearsing the whole movie. It was the most rehearsed thing that I've ever done. It was 6 months to shoot the movie, but we spent a good 6 weeks rehearsing, and every day that little dance was rehearsed.
You did some beach things, didn't you? Did you do some beach things or
Never.
not?
I always get credit for it, and I'll take it. Actually, I'm Frankie Avalon. Hi. Venus. No, but everybody, so I just say, instead of disappointing people, I say, yeah, I did it.
Okay. But you did the one with Annette.
One with
Okay,
Annette,
you
yeah.
did some things on television.
A lot of TV.
A lot of
yeah.
TV.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
Mostly dramatic TV.
Who gave you your big crack? Let me get back to the dramatics in a minute. Who gave you your big break?
The same person. The guy that came into that little bar that I started in at 5 came back time and again, I guess, and saw me. And finally, when I was 12, he signed me up. His name was Colonel Tom Parker. And then about 3 years after that, he signed Elvis.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. And he then, with Elvis's success, they wrote a story for Elvis that they were going to do as an hour-and-a-half special on TV, a dramatic special, because Elvis wanted to act. And in the movies he was in, he was just singing and dancing. Well, by the time they got around to finishing the script, Elvis was so expensive that Colonel couldn't let him do it, even though he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked him if he knew anybody else, and he said, I know a guy, I'll fly him in free, and you audition him. And that was me. So he flew me in from Shreveport, and I auditioned in New York, and I got the part. It was called The Singing Idol. It was basically the story of a guy like Elvis and his life and his career and
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Great. Let's go to the dramatics. The dramatic part of your life. You did television. did some dramatics on television. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, Singing Idol was really the beginning of that, because although the title was changed to Singing Idol, it originally was called something else. And it was basically a drama, a 1.5 hour drama with one song. And it was very dramatic. We had a director from the Actors Studio named Paul Bogart, who went on to direct The Summer of 41 and quite a few other films that I don't know. The cast was all from the Actors Studio and from Broadway. And that was kind of the beginning, because even though I was a big hit singer at the time, that gave me a little legitimacy with the acting world, and suddenly I began to do a lot of dramatic television. I did probably 20 or 30 dramatic TV shows from 57 until like 1967.
And yet, all this time, you had a singing career right along with that. You were. What's the biggest hit?
The first one.
Was it?
Teenage Crush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite of all of your songs?
My favorite would be I'll Be Seeing You.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm going to sing that tonight, too.
One of my favorites.
A lovely song.
Oh, yeah.
From, I think, originally from the war years, and it was done by Bing Crosby. And then I picked it up about 150 years later, about whatever number of years it was, and we had our version. And I was lucky because it was the first time that I ever worked with my favorite, and I think the greatest arranger of all time, Nelson Riddle.
Oh, really?
Who is still my favorite.
Yeah. Had his son here. They brought
Chris Riddle.
Yeah, Chris.
I've never met him, and I'm dying to.
Chris, he's a wild man, I'll tell you.
Is he?
Oh, he's crazy. Yeah.
Now, does he arrange and?
No, he just. I think he just fronted the band because they were doing a thing. He's from back east, but the band's the band. He did all of his dad's stuff. His dad was super.
Oh, he did all the Sinatra things, all the Nat King Cole things, all of that, and it's classic. You know, you just.
Now you just mentioned something that I've got to ask you. Nancy Sinatra. You were married to her.
Yes, I was.
And?
Well, we went together for about a year. Then we got married for about 5 or 6 years. And I think we were both too young, you know. Really. I snapped her out of high school. She was still going to high school. And I was just a couple of years older. And, hey, we fell in love, and
she still looks good.
Oh, she looks great.
Doesn't she?
She looks great. I saw her in Playboy. Can I say Playboy?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
She looked pretty good in Playboy.
For 50, huh?
I saw things in Playboy I never saw when I was married.
That's good.
Not bad things, just
no things.
Beauty of
things, right?
Yes,
I understand that.
I think there was a mole that I had never discovered.
Oh, so you were the son-in-law to the chairman of the board.
I think the greatest singer of all time, whether you talk about Caruso, today Pavarotti, whether you talk about Bing Crosby, you talk about Lionel Richie, Michael Jackson, or whether you're talking about any of the greats of the 40s or 50s, the man, to me,
style,
and
class.
The voice, the way he sings, that voice to me is the greatest voice in the world.
He's good.
Sinatra.
He's good. What? Time?
Francis Albert Sinatra.
Right.
What a name for a tough guy, huh?
4 minutes, huh?
What a name for a tough guy. Francis.
I've had not too many people called him Francis. He
I'll
probably
bet not either.
Popped him. Anything you want to talk about? You're going to be going on a tour here pretty soon with Terry.
Yes, I am.
And tell us, you're getting anxious about this?
Oh,
is it good to get back into it?
This is home for me. You know, I'm at home, backstage and on a stage, and if I stay home more than about 2 weeks, I start feeling weird, and it takes me maybe 10 days or even a month to figure out why I'm feeling so weird. Is because I'm not home. This is where I grew up, you know. So I love
the smell is good.
The theater.
The feel.
Yeah, I like it. And besides which, there's a lot of pretty ladies, walking around backstage in most theaters.
Right, is there? Never noticed that.
Well, we have a couple right here.
I know.
Fred, as soon as we're off, I'm going to point them out to you. There's one right there. There's another one right there. Another one right there. And another one right there.
I'd like to go on, but
Yes, sir.
we're
we out
getting,
of time?
Yeah, just about. We're getting ready to start this, and
Great.
if the folks don't get to you tonight, I hope that they'll come next time you come in to see us.
Oh, I hope so.
I'm gonna be interviewing Michael, your buddy Michael, here in a few
Great.
minutes.
What a talent.
Yeah.
I went backstage. It was at the height of my career, right at the beginning, and I went to see West Side Story. To make a long story short, he impressed me so much that I went backstage and stood in line to meet him and tell him how great I thought he was, and that began our friendship like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, we've been like this ever since.
You see, when I was introduced to him, I thought, it sounds dumb to say, God, you look familiar. But that was the first
He's
thing.
done so many
I know. You see him all over the films, and
Yeah.
then finally, when I talked to Terry, I said, "Hey, I didn't realize it was him." So we've got to get on with this. But Tommy Sands, what's your real name?
It really is Thomas
Mhm.
Adrian. We'll forget about Adrian Sands.
Is that right? That's your real name?
Yeah. Now, I'm sure the family name way back along the line was something else, but they came from the old country, and I didn't know my grandparents, and by then the name was changed. So it is Sands legally.
Let me tell you, it's really a pleasure to meet you. It's
Thank
a
you,
pleasure
Fred.
to have you here.
Thank you.
And I know the show's going to be good. I know it's going to be good.
We're going to enjoy it.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with Michael Callan, a face you know, and you're going to find out how you know him. Thank you, and see you in a few moments. Thank you, sir, very much. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Backstage. Tonight we have a guest that is not going to perform, but is a well-known figure in Hollywood. And he has consented to give us an interview. He came down with Tommy Sands, and in fact, they're good friends. They've been good friends for many, many years, as Tommy had mentioned before. And I want you to meet Mr. Michael Callan. Now, the face you're going to know immediately. He's been in a jillion movies.
Well, not that many, but
close.
I've been in a few. It's Fred, not Ted, right?
Fred.
How you
It
doing?
doesn't matter, really. Thank
Nice
you.
to meet you.
Thank you for doing this.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Now, you told me the first movie you got into was with...
They came to Cordura with Gary Cooper and Rita Hayworth and Van Heflin,
right.
Tab Hunter, Richard Conte. It was quite a cast.
What a way to break in. I
Yeah.
mean, with some of the biggies.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
Well,
You started on Broadway, though.
I did. Well, I started when I was about 11 years old as a tap dancer and as a singer. And when my voice changed, they kept giving me free dancing lessons. So I did a nightclub act when I was about 15 around Philadelphia, New Jersey. And when I got out of high school, I went to New York and auditioned for some Broadway shows. And that's when I got into a show called West Side Story, which is what I played the role of Riff on Broadway. I created it, and I was spotted by a talent scout from Columbia Pictures and put under contract. And the first picture was They Came to Cordura. After that, I did films like Gidget Goes Hawaiian. I only did one beach picture. Tommy, you always get accused of doing a lot of them. And,
Go down your list. I'm curious, because I know and they know we've seen you a lot.
Well, let's see. I did a film, a Jules Verne picture called Mysterious Island. I did Cat Ballou with Lee Marvin and Jane Fonda.
Right.
That's when he thanked the horse for the Academy Award.
Right.
And I did The Interns, The Victors, The New Interns. I danced in a film called Peppy with Contine Floss and Shirley Jones and Dan Daly. Did a television series in the 60s called Occasional Wife.
That's right.
Went on the road and did many variations of Broadway shows. Promises, can't think of all of them.
But
I've been doing
just
them.
been in a lot, though.
And lately I produced a show called Hello Mudda, Hello Fada, the Alan Sherman Show. And we're in the final throes of a three-year working in project in a work in project. What do they call it? In process.
In process, yeah.
Of a musical comedy called Chick, which I'll star in as the title role.
Tell the audience, because this was interesting.
Oh. Well, Chick's the story of a father and a son, basically. The father's deceased for about 25 years. He's trying to get into heaven. And I'm talking with Bobby Morse about playing that role. And he died about the time that I am now. So he's got to do one good deed. I'm one of those cheap nightclub comics in the 60s on the edge of the strip. You remember that period of time? Who's trying to get ahead. And the father, he's an old vaudevillian, has to do this one good deed, come down and save his son. And that's basically the story.
And you make it.
Yeah. Well, that's for the audience to decide.
But you see, if you just come to that point, then you could have something that goes on for the next one.
That's right, Chick 2?
Chick 2.
All right, sure.
Maybe it'll go on forever. So, you got anything else going besides working this? Anything coming up soon?
Well, Joe, we hope to have Chick in production pretty soon.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope that it works. I'll be looking for it.
I appreciate that.
I really mean it.
I'll look forward to you looking for it.
I was just telling, well, you were here, but when I first saw you, it sounds so stupid to say, golly, you look familiar. And that's the first thing that popped into my head, and I thought, no, it's probably just
there's no reason for you to think any other way.
You're seen everywhere, what? And then I didn't recognize you. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, that's quite all right. I just came down with Tommy. We hang out once in a while.
That's cool.
He said, what are you doing Saturday? I said, I'll come down with you,
That's cool.
So I'm looking forward to hearing him sing.
That's neat, yeah. I am too, because these people, just like yourself, you hear about them, you don't meet them. Now they're here, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope the folks get out to see Tommy tonight, and I really appreciate you dropping by and giving us the time. Thank you.
You
so
gotta
much.
be kidding. It was my pleasure.
Hey, I mean it.
Thank
I mean
you.
it very much. Everybody, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.